For centuries, sculptures have stood as some of the most powerful expressions of human imagination, capturing myths, beliefs, and emotions in forms that feel almost alive. Unlike paintings, which exist within a frame, sculptures step into our world. They demand our presence, inviting us to move around them, to trace their contours with our eyes, to see them not just from one perspective, but from many. But what gives a sculpture its enduring power? Why do some transcend time, becoming more than just marble, bronze, or stone, turning into icons that shape the way we see history, art, and even ourselves? In this episode, I brought together 10 of the most famous sculptures ever created. Of course, with so many masterpieces across time and cultures, no single list can cover them all. But these are the ones that, to me, stand out. The ones that continue to intrigue, inspire, and challenge us across generations. So whether you're drawn to the quiet strength of the Moai, the defiant stance of Michelangelo's David, or the divine stillness of the Venus de Milo, these sculptures remind us that art isn't just carved in stone, it's carved into our shared humanity. Let's begin our journey with one of the most famous sculptures in history, the Venus de Milo. For over 2,000 years, this marble goddess has captivated the world, despite, or perhaps because of, her missing arms. Carved between 130 and 100 BCE, she belongs to the Hellenistic period, a time when Greek art embraced movement, emotion, and a touch of theatrical flair. She's thought to represent Aphrodite, the goddess of love, but some believe she could be Amphitrite, a sea goddess once revered on the very island where she was found. And what a discovery it was. In 1820, a farmer on the Greek island of Milos unearthed the statue, a moment of accidental archaeology if there ever was one. Enter the French authorities, who, eager to claim this masterpiece, did what any self-respecting art world opportunist might do. They gave her a more impressive backstory. The Louvre, still smarting from the loss of the Medici Venus after Napoleon's defeat, needed a new Greek showstopper. So they first credited the sculpture to Praxiteles, a revered classical artist. The only problem? An inscription found alongside the statue actually named Alexandros of Antioch, but that didn't fit the grand narrative, so they quietly ignored it. Eventually, scholars set the record straight, confirming her Hellenistic origins, but one mystery remains. What happened to her arms? When she was discovered, the statue was already in pieces, with fragments of limbs found nearby, but they weren't immediately linked to her. Later studies suggested her right arm may have rested across her torso, adjusting the drapery at her waist, while her left arm likely held an apple, referencing the infamous Judgment of Paris, the divine beauty contest that led indirectly to the Trojan War. And yet, perhaps it's this very absence that makes her so compelling. The missing arms leave room for imagination, turning Venus into an eternal enigma. Was she an icon of love, a goddess of the sea, or something else entirely? We may never know, and maybe that's the real magic. Her mystery is ours to complete. Now we journey to the timeless sands of Egypt, where an ancient sentinel has watched over the desert for thousands of years. The great Sphinx of Giza, silent, colossal, and enigmatic, stretches 73 meters across the plateau, its lion's body and human face carved directly from the bedrock. At 20 meters tall, it is the largest monolithic statue in the world, yet it carries a mystery far greater than its size. Who does this face belong to? Many scholars point to Pharaoh Khafre, the ruler behind Giza's second pyramid. The fusion of lion and man was no mere artistic choice. Lions symbolized strength and guardianship in ancient Egypt, while the pharaoh's visage embodied divine rule. Together they formed an eternal symbol of power, a guardian of the pyramids, watching over the land of the dead. But like all things ancient, time has not been kind to the Sphinx. Its most famous wound, a missing nose, has fueled endless speculation. Some legends blame Napoleon's troops, allegedly using it for target practice. Others claim it was destroyed in an act of iconoclasm in the 14th century. Most experts now lean toward the latter, suggesting it was deliberately defaced by those who saw the human likeness as a challenge to religious beliefs. Yet what we see today is only a shadow of its former self. Traces of pigment suggest the Sphinx was once vividly painted, reds, blues, and yellows adorning its face and headdress, gleaming under the Egyptian sun. Imagine it not as the weathered, sand-worn monument we know, but a radiant guardian standing in full color against the golden horizon. Over the centuries, the Sphinx has been revered, forgotten, and rediscovered. By the time young Prince Thutmose IV encountered it during a hunt, it was buried up to its shoulders in sand. According to legend, the Sphinx appeared to him in a dream, promising him the throne if he freed it from its sandy prison. The prince obeyed, clearing the statue and securing his place in history. Even now, the Sphinx remains a paradox, part monument, part riddle. It has stood through empires and centuries, its expression unchanged, as if it alone knows the answers to Egypt's greatest secrets. In 1880, Auguste Rodin set out to sculpt a man deep in thought, but what he created was far more than just a thinker. Cast in bronze, the thinker is a figure of raw intensity, muscles taut, forehead furrowed, chin pressed into his fist as if he's wrestling not just with an idea but with the weight of existence itself. At a glance, his pose is familiar, contemplative, almost relaxed, but linger a little longer, and you feel the tension, the depth, the silent struggle of a man on the edge of revelation, or despair. Rodin first envisioned this figure as part of The Gates of Hell, a massive sculptural work inspired by Dante's Inferno. Originally, the thinker was Dante himself, staring into the abyss of the underworld, absorbing the enormity of eternal punishment and divine judgment. But something about this lone figure transcended its original purpose. Detached from Dante's narrative, the thinker became a symbol of something more universal, humanity's perpetual battle with thought, knowledge, and the unknown. What exactly is he thinking about? Rodin never tells us. That's the beauty of it. Is he a philosopher lost in the vastness of abstract thought? A man agonizing over an impossible dilemma? A visionary moments away from an epiphany? His uncertainty is our own. Each viewer sees a different struggle, a different question, a different burden. But one thing is clear, this is not passive contemplation. The thinker's body is coiled with energy, his muscles tense. Thinking, Rodin suggests, is not a quiet retreat. It is an active, almost physical exertion. It demands effort, it takes a toll, and yet, it is this labor of the mind, the endless pursuit of understanding, that makes us human. More than a sculpture, the thinker is a reflection and a challenge. We have all been in his place, whether confronting life's great mysteries or simply battling the weight of our own thoughts. Rodin does not give us answers. Instead, he leaves us with a question, one that lingers long after we've walked away. In the heart of New York Harbor, rising from the waters like a silent sentinel, stands the Statue of Liberty. She is more than bronze and stone, more than a landmark etched into the skyline. She is an idea made tangible, a beacon of hope, a promise of freedom, a symbol that has shaped the very soul of a nation. For over a century she has stood watch, torch held high, greeting the weary, the hopeful, the dreamers. And while she feels like a permanent fixture in America's story, her own tale is one of vision, ingenuity, and unwavering belief in the ideals she represents. A gift from France to the United States, the Statue of Liberty was the brainchild of French sculptor Frédéric Auguste Bartholdi, a man captivated by the idea of liberty, not just as a political concept, but as something almost sacred. Inspired by the Roman goddess Libertas, he envisioned a colossal figure that would embody the fight against oppression, a universal guardian of human rights. In one hand, she raises a torch, lighting the path to freedom. In the other, a tablet inscribed with July 4th, 1776, a silent declaration of America's founding principles. But translating such an ambitious vision into reality required more than artistic mastery. Bartholdi turned to Gustave Eiffel, the engineering genius behind the Eiffel Tower, to construct the internal iron framework that would support her copper exterior. The result was a marvel of 19th century innovation, a statue that stood not only 93 meters tall from base to torch, but one designed to withstand the elements, its skeletal structure flexing with the wind rather than resisting it, a perfect blend of art and engineering, of grace and strength. She was not built in America, but rather across the ocean, in France. There her form took shape, piece by piece, as craftsmen hammered copper sheets into place over Eiffel's skeletal frame. And when she was finally complete, she was taken apart, carefully disassembled, packed into crates, and shipped across the Atlantic like a colossal puzzle. On American soil, she was rebuilt on Liberty Island, standing at the gateway to a new world. For generations of immigrants arriving by sea, she was the first glimpse of their new home, a towering reassurance that they had reached the land of possibility. But what gives Lady Liberty her enduring power is not just her size or her history. It is the meaning we project onto her. She is the hope of those fleeing persecution, the strength of those fighting for justice, the embodiment of democracy in an ever-changing world. She does not speak, yet her presence is a declaration. She does not move, yet she has guided millions. Her torch, once a physical source of light, now burns in the minds of those who see her, a reminder that liberty is not just a gift, but a responsibility. And as long as she stands, so too does the idea she represents. Michelangelo's Pietà is not just a sculpture, it is a meditation in marble, a frozen moment where sorrow and serenity intertwine. Carved between 1498 and 1500, when Michelangelo was just 24 years old, this masterpiece emerged from a single block of Carrara marble, its form seemingly coaxed rather than chiseled into existence. Commissioned by French Cardinal Jean de Belair for Old St. Peter's Basilica in Rome, Pietà was a revelation, both in its technical brilliance and its emotional depth. Multi-figure sculptures were rare in Michelangelo's time, and even rarer was an artist who could make unyielding stone feel as delicate as flesh. At its heart, Pietà captures an intimate, devastating moment, the Virgin Mary holding the lifeless body of Christ after the crucifixion. Yet in Michelangelo's hands, grief is not raw or violent, it is transcendent. Mary does not weep, she does not collapse beneath the weight of her son. Instead, her face is serene, her expression one of quiet acceptance. Her sorrow is vast, but not consuming. It is the sorrow of a mother who understands that suffering, no matter how unbearable, has a purpose. The composition itself is an act of mastery. The billowing folds of Mary's robe seem to cascade like flowing water, a stark contrast to the still, heavy body of Christ. Michelangelo enlarged her form to support her son's weight, yet her presence remains graceful, almost otherworldly. The drapery, intricate and deeply carved, is not just a technical feat, it is an emotional one. It softens the tragedy, offering comfort where there is loss. Christ, too, is idealized. His body is unmarked by suffering, his expression peaceful as if merely asleep. For Michelangelo, beauty and divinity were inseparable, and in sculpting Christ, he captured not just a man, but the very essence of sacrifice. Look closely and you'll see the veins along his arms, the subtle play of muscles beneath the skin, details that remind us that this divine figure was, above all, human. When Pietà was unveiled, one detail sparked controversy: the Virgin Mary's youthful appearance. How, many asked, could she look so young while holding her grown son? Michelangelo's answer was both artistic and theological. Purity, he argued, preserves beauty. To him, Mary was not just a mother, she was the eternal embodiment of grace. And then there is the signature. Michelangelo, famously reserved, rarely signed his work. But when he overheard onlookers attributing Pietà to another artist, he did something unprecedented. He carved his name across Mary's sash. It remains the only piece he ever signed, a quiet but bold assertion of his genius. Today, housed in St. Peter's Basilica in Vatican City, Pietà continues to hold its audience in quiet reverence. It is not just a sculpture, not just a masterpiece, it is an experience, a reminder that even in sorrow there is beauty, and that in the hands of a master, marble can breathe. The winged victory of Samothrace is not just a sculpture, it is motion made eternal, a triumphant whisper from the past that still commands the present. Standing at the top of the Louvre's grand staircase, she is both a guardian and an enigma, frozen mid-flight yet brimming with momentum. Sculpted around 200 BCE, this breathtaking marble figure embodies Nike, the Greek goddess of victory, her wings outstretched as if she has just descended from the heavens. Her robes billow, caught in an invisible gust of wind, giving the illusion that at any moment she might lift off again. She is headless, armless, fragmented by time, and yet her presence is undiminished. If anything, the absence of her features only deepens her mystery, making her all the more mesmerizing. Without a face, she belongs to no one and everyone at once, a universal symbol of triumph. The intricate carving of her wings, the cascading folds of fabric that cling and ripple around her form, all speak of a sculptor who understood not just stone, but movement, weight, and the very essence of victory. She is not merely standing upon a pedestal, she is surging forward, an unstoppable force in marble. But why was she created? Scholars believe winged victory was a tribute to a naval triumph, likely commissioned by the people of Rhodes, a powerful maritime force of the ancient world. She was discovered in 1863 on the island of Samothrace, near the sanctuary of the great gods. where she may have once stood atop the prow of a stone ship, overseeing the sacred site with the same commanding grace she now holds in the Louvre. She was not meant to be admired in stillness, but to embody the raw exhilarations of a victory at sea, the moment when battle is won, and the wind carries the promise of glory. Even in the midst of the Louvre's countless masterpieces, winged victory dominates. Positioned high above, she does not merely occupy space, she presides over it. Visitors pause, necks craned, drawn into her quiet power. She is not just a relic of a bygone civilization, she is a testament to resilience, to the idea that victory is possible even when the odds are against us. Time has taken pieces of her, but it has not taken her spirit. If anything, her fragmentation makes her all the more powerful. She is a reminder that triumph is not always whole, that beauty can exist in imperfection, and that even after 2,000 years, the human spirit, etched in stone, still soars. Perched high above Rio de Janeiro, arms outstretched in an eternal embrace, Christ the Redeemer is more than a monument. It is a presence. Towering 30 meters above Mount Corcovado, this breathtaking figure watches over the city, a silent guardian against the ever-changing skyline. Whether bathed in golden sunrise or standing resolute against rolling storm clouds, it radiates a quiet, unwavering grace. Its form is deceptively simple, reinforced concrete draped in soapstone, sculpted into the unmistakable image of Christ. Yet within that simplicity lies its power. The open arms are more than a pose. They are a gesture of welcome, of peace, of something beyond words. From the beaches of Copacabana to the favelas tucked into the hillsides, the city moves beneath his gaze, a vibrant, pulsing world under a divine watch. Reaching Christ the Redeemer is an experience in itself. The ascent winds through Tijuca Forest, a tropical expanse where the sounds of the city fade, replaced by rustling leaves and distant bird calls. Whether by train or by foot, the climb builds anticipation, each step bringing you closer until suddenly there he is, looming above, impossibly grand, yet profoundly serene. The view stretches far beyond the statue, spilling into a panorama of Rio's sprawling neighborhoods, the curve of Sugarloaf Mountain, and the vast Atlantic beyond. It is a sight that lingers long after you've left. The story of Christ the Redeemer is one of faith, artistry, and national pride. First conceived in the 1850s, the idea remained a dream until the 1920s, when a wave of donations from Brazilian Catholics finally set it in motion. French sculptor Paul Landowski shaped the figure, while Brazilian engineer Heitor da Silva Costa brought it to life, a collaboration between vision and precision. Over 9 years, workers carved and assembled the statue atop the mountain, their labor culminating in a moment that would forever alter Rio's landscape. Since its completion in 1931, it has withstood time, weather, and the elements, undergoing careful restorations to preserve its splendor. Today, Christ the Redeemer is more than a religious icon. It is a symbol of Brazil itself, a reflection of its warmth, its spirit, its boundless energy. It belongs not just to Rio, but to the world, a silent yet powerful reminder that no matter where you stand, there's always something greater watching over. Few sculptures command presence like Michelangelo's David. Carved from a single block of Carrara marble between 1501 and 1504, it stands at an imposing 5.17 meters, a figure both larger than life and strikingly human. Every muscle, every sinew is sculpted with breathtaking precision, a testament to Michelangelo's deep understanding of anatomy and movement. But David is more than a showcase of technical brilliance. It is a moment frozen in time, charged with an energy that pulses just beneath the surface. He stands poised, his weight shifted slightly, his gaze fixed in quiet intensity. Unlike earlier depictions of the biblical hero, Michelangelo does not capture the moment of triumph, the slaying of Goliath. Instead, David is caught in the breath, before, the split second where courage steels itself, where fear and resolve collide. His brow furrows, his veins pulse. He is both a boy and a warrior, fragile and formidable all at once. It is this psychological depth, this raw humanity, that sets the David apart. The story of its placement is as remarkable as the statue itself. Originally intended for the heights of Florence Cathedral, city officials, upon seeing its grandeur, knew it belonged somewhere far more visible. And so, in 1504, David was unveiled in the heart of Florence, the Piazza della Signoria. Its political core, a stage for power and defiance. Here he became more than a biblical figure, he became Florence itself. His unwavering stance mirrored the city's own fight for independence, a symbol of resilience against looming external forces. For centuries, David braved the elements, standing under open skies as a silent guardian of Florence. Only in 1873 was he moved to the Galleria dell'Accademia, where he remains today, preserved under careful light, admired by millions who stand beneath him, dwarfed not only by his size but by his sheer presence. Michelangelo was in his 20s when he sculpted David, yet in this single masterpiece, he distilled the very essence of the Renaissance, the celebrations of human strength, intellect, and beauty. Even now, standing before David is an experience that lingers, a reminder of how art, at its most powerful, does not merely reflect life, it captures the soul of an entire civilization. Buried beneath the earth for over 2 millennia, the Terracotta Army remained a secret of history, until fate intervened. In 1974, in the quiet fields of Shanxi province, a group of farmers stumbled upon fragments of an ancient enigma. What emerged from the soil was nothing short of astonishing. An entire army, thousands strong, standing in silent formation, guarding the tomb of China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang. It was a revelation that rewrote history, a glimpse into a ruler's unrelenting quest for immortality. Each figure, crafted over 2,000 years ago, tells its own story. No two soldiers are the same. Each face sculpted with distinct features, each stance revealing a sense of purpose. Some wear solemn expressions, others hold the quiet intensity of warriors prepared for battle. From the archers and cavalry to the commanding officers, the meticulous detail is staggering. The artisans who shaped them did not merely create statues, they breathed life into clay, sculpting an army meant to endure beyond the bounds of time. When uncovered, the soldiers stood in precise formation, a frozen battlefield arranged in 3 vast pits, their ranks once armed with real weapons. Though time has stripped them of their original vibrant colors, traces of paint still linger, a whisper of the brilliance they once held. The scale of the site is overwhelming, spanning over 20,000 square meters, a testament to the emperor's vast ambition. Qin Shi Huang, the unifier of China, sought to carry his dominion into the afterlife, ensuring his rule extended beyond the mortal world. To stand among these warriors today is to step into the past, to witness the enduring legacy of a man who shaped a nation. The Terracotta Army is more than an archaeological marvel. It is a testament to power, artistry, and the human desire to defy time itself. Walking through this ancient mausoleum beneath the watchful gaze of an eternal army, one cannot help but feel the weight of history pressing in, the silent echoes of an empire that refused to be forgotten. If there's one sight that defines Easter Island, it's the Moai, those towering stone figures standing in silent watch, their gaze fixed toward the island's villages. Carved by the Rapa Nui people between 1400 and 1650 CE, these monolithic beings weren't just sculptures. They were ancestral guardians, vessels of spiritual power known as mana. Some soar up to 10 meters tall, their oversized heads making up nearly a third of their height, an unmistakable signature of their form. But why do they stand with their backs to the sea? That mystery has fascinated historians for centuries. Their inward-facing stance suggests they weren't meant to ward off external threats, but to watch over their own people, binding the living to the past in a silent but profound act of reverence. Then there's the question of movement. These massive figures, carved from volcanic rock at the Rano Raraka quarry, somehow made their way across the island. Theories abound. Wooden sleds, rolling logs, and even the most tantalizing idea that the Moai walked upright, swayed into place with careful rhythmic pulls of rope. Over 900 Moai have been discovered, many once proudly standing atop ceremonial platforms called ahu. Time and conflict toppled many, but modern restoration efforts have revived some of their grandeur, allowing us to stand in awe of what the Rapa Nui achieved. The Moai are more than statues, they are storytellers. They whisper of a civilization that thrived in isolation, of ingenuity and devotion, of triumph and loss. To stand among them is to feel the weight of history pressing close, a reminder that long before we arrived, this land was already home to legends. From the ancient sands of Egypt to the remote shores of Easter Island, sculptures are more than just artistic triumphs. They are silent witnesses to history, etched in stone, bronze, and marble. Each one carries the weight of its time, shaped not only by the hands of its creator, but by the beliefs, struggles, and aspirations of an entire civilization. Across centuries and continents, from the delicate grace of the Venus de Milo to the commanding ranks of the Terracotta Army, these figures share a common thread. They are more than objects. They are echoes of the human impulse to remember, to celebrate, and to endure. In their presence, we don't just see the past. We feel it. Whether you admire them from afar or study every chisel mark, these sculptures remind us that art transcends time, borders, and language. So the next time you stand before one, pause. Let it speak, because within every sculpture lies a story, one that still has the power to move us today. Thank you for exploring with us. Which sculpture left the strongest impression on you? Let us know in the comments. And be sure to subscribe to Galeria for more journeys into the world of art.